All right. So here's three lies that I told in my youth. And let it be known, all of these happened before I had ever even held hands with a romantic partner. Definitely before I had my first kiss. Maybe I had an amorous hug at this point, but honestly, not really. Which is fine. I don't really feel that bad about being kind of a late bloomer, and a lot of like relationships in middle school and high school felt very foreign to me, and kind of like, okay. And I was just doing my thing, and maybe that's cope. I hate that I know the word cope and people use that, but just there it is. Okay, first lie though, as a young seventh grader, one of my friends invites me out to the hoop. Now, the hoop, that's a whole nother different thing. I honestly don't know what the fuck that was about, but it was like a middle school dance club, basically. I guess that's what it was about. And that's great. That's great. But it was kind of weird. And even at this point, I think I'd been maybe to one middle school dance, and this is when grinding was already a thing. And I wasn't really wanting, or maybe I did, but it felt way out of the realm of possibility to grind up on someone's tuchus. I wasn't ready for that. Um, but the hoop was definitely, if middle school dances had some of that, it also had a lot of dorky fun and running around in circles and stuff. Honestly, I was shooting hoops with my buddies. But the hoop is definitely a grinding zone, and I got invited. My little dorky seventh grade self, never been kissed, and I get there, and I think I'm probably just wallflowering, and my friends who invited me are a little cooler with the ladies, and so the lie that I was party to is one of my friends just grabs this random girl, and it's like, "Oh, it's his birthday. Do you want to dance with him?" And I just kind of like, okay, going along with it. And also middle school hilariousness. This girl is like a foot taller than me, and she's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And so it's like, okay, I guess this is happening. But when you try and grind someone who's a foot taller than you, all I did is I grabbed her hips and her butt kind of rubbed on my stomach a little bit, and you just sway around awkwardly, and it was very weird. I don't know what her name was, um, and so yeah, that was a random weird funny night. Honestly, for the best. Like, you gotta have some weird awkward moments. But I was along with for the ride on that one. Lie number two. This one, maybe like freshman or sophomore year of high school. So I also, I guess, had never seen the 40-year-old virgin at this point, because I was just hanging out with some friends, and I think people were talking about sex and boobs and stuff. And someone totally got me with the thing from the 40-year-old virgin where it's like, "Oh yeah, boobs, they feel so nice. It's like bags of sand." And it's a joke from the movie. But I, trying to hide, I guess, that I'd never touched boobs, even though I don't think I feel bad that I never touched boobs, but there was a certain pressure and a certain, like, I guess I gotta like agree, go along with it here. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, they really do feel like bags of sand." That was lie number two. Okay, lie number three. This is the worst one. This is the one I feel most guilt and regret about, because it involved other people. Like, I was lying about other people, and that's not cool. But this was definitely like a high school sleepover, with a bunch of randy chaps, probably up too late, probably drinking a lot of energy drinks. Maybe Mountain Dew was in vogue back then. I don't think this was a time where anyone was doing drugs or alcohol. So it was maybe like sophomore year. And even if people had done it, that wasn't the vibe of this night. But it was like one of those nice, like, late night sleepovers where you just start talking, and then of course it gets into girls, because it was definitely a very heteronormative context, and talking about your sexual exploits. And the lie that I told that night, which I'm deeply ashamed about, on one hand, it's like this kind of stuff happens and it isn't that bad, but it also was like I literally did objectify someone, and that's not cool. and it's probably one of the times I've done that the worst. But basically, I told this story. I'd been on a vacation with a friend and his family, and his sister had brought some friends, and I was probably crushing on all of them, but especially one. And so when I got to telling your sexual stories, I guess I could have just talked about having a crush and talked about how I've never kissed anyone, but I succumbed to the pressure and I straight up lied. And looking back at it, the lie that I told is so bananas. And I hope they didn't believe me. Maybe they believed me, but oh, it was bad. I can't even drive yet. Never kissed a girl. Never kissed anyone. And I tell all these guys that me and this girl, friend of a friend, a friend of a friend's sister, in the hot tub at the resort we were staying with all the friends and the parents there, had a bit of a steamy rendezvous. And I know Instagram has a lot of content monitors. I'm not going to say it. But let's just say I told everyone that I did something that rhymes with schmitty schmuckin' in the hot tub as someone who's never kissed anyone. And that's just a ridiculous move, and especially a ridiculous move to do the first time you've ever met someone, and you're in a vacation home with your teenagers and with family. Like, it's so silly. Um, but I straight up told a lie, and I said this person's name, and even though she didn't like go to our school or anything, like that level of distance, I must have internally justified as like, oh, this is okay. Or I don't know what I thought. Honestly, it was so long ago. But those are three lies of stumbling through the awkwardness of being a young boy, young man. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you laughed. Maybe you deeply hate me. But I was thinking about that on my drive home, and I had to get them out, baby.